Welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about an event that only happened once in the gaming history. And it happened in World of Warcraft in the year 2005 on September the 13th. It was a virtual epidemic known by the name of the Corrupted Blood Incident, or as the players called it, the Plague of Zul'Gurub, or the Azerothian Plague. You see, with the introduction of Zul'Gurub in the year 2005, the last boss Hakar had a chance to debuff you with the Corrupted Blood debuff. This was a disease dealing quite significant damage, and it had the ability to spread to everything. And by everything, I do mean everything. And while you might think that this kind of disease could be easily contained because, well, you get the disease and you and everyone around you dies, thus eliminating the disease, it was not that simple. You see, this disease was able to spread to non-player characters, but those non-player characters were asymptomatic, yet still had the ability to spread the disease. Meaning that if someone was able to infect an NPC in a major city, everyone that goes anywhere near that NPC gets infected with the corrupted blood and dies, spreading the disease further. There are at least 3 documented cases on 3 separate servers of hunters who thought it would be really funny if they got their pet infected by Hakar in Zul'Gurub and then immediately hearted back to their faction city, spreading the disease amongst the player base. The problem with this disease was that it was A, undispellable, and B, it didn't do enough damage to level 60 characters to kill them immediately. So when the hunters hearted back and started spreading this disease, level 60 characters would leave the city and spread the disease even further. And within hours, all of Azeroth was contaminated. Major cities covered in skeletons, bones as far as the eye can see, desperate priests trying to dispel this undispellable debuff and get rid of this plague. It got so bad that it caught the attention of epidemic researchers. Why, you might ask? Well, the WoW community reacted just like every other real-life community would when exposed to a lethal outbreak, a plague of sorts. It was described as a fascinating yet accidental case study of modeling disease origins and control at the Games for Health conference in Baltimore. They compared it to a real-life epidemic in that it originated in a remote, uninhabited region and was carried by travelers to larger regions. Hosts were both human and animal, comparing it to the avian flu. And it was passed through close contact, and there were people, in this case non-player characters, who could contract it but were asymptomatic. However, there were elements that differed from a real-world epidemic, including an indicator for carriers that they have the disease and how much risk they are at, which cannot be done in a real world. One aspect of the epidemic that was not considered by the epidemiologists in their simulated models was curiosity. Players would rush into infected areas just to witness the infection and then rush out. And while you might think that in real life people would try to stay away from these infected areas, that's not true. That's what the epidemiologists thought as well. That's why they did not have this in their simulations. But after witnessing this, they realized that this is exactly what journalists would do. They would rush in just to see whatever they can, just to cover the infection and then rush back out, potentially spreading it even further. Which is why they added this element of curiosity into their simulations later on. But let's talk about what happened in-game, shall we? Within days, all cities in World of Warcraft were ghost towns filled with skeletons. Players would run away and hide in the wilderness, in forests, trying to evade the infected. The funny thing is that the first city to fall to this plague on all 3 servers was Ironforge. And the reason why this plague would spread so fast is because in the beginning, people thought that this was an actual event that was set up by the developers, and they saw the fall of Ironforge as the end of this event. But it did not end there. From Ironforge, it would quickly spread to Stormwind City via the Deep Run tram. It eventually caught up to Undercity up north, from which it spread to Orgrimmar, Thunderbluff, and eventually even Darnassus fell. At this point, people were getting frustrated. They couldn't play. If you were on one of the infected servers, you would log in and it was only a matter of time before someone infected you and you died. And then you died again and again and again. So people started complaining, and eventually Blizzard would shut down these infected servers, and they finally removed the disease. And that's where this story ends. And I thank you a lot for listening this time. I will see you in another video. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.